Wake Up with Jim and Sab is exclusively on Spotify.
And if you want to start your own podcast, you can check out anchor.fm.
Welcome to the Wake Up with Jim and Sab podcast. Okay, I think among all episodes, if you've never listened to our podcast, I think this is the only one that you should listen to. We have the Vice President of the Philippines.
Yay!
Miss
Hi,
Leni
Jim and
Robredo.
Saab.
Hi, VP.
Hi VP. So we'd like to start. We just want to share. Ako personally, we want to say na thank you for being our source of sanity during this time. Kasi we've been pushing in our podcast that we should be responsible with our mental health, but at the same time continue educating ourselves about what's happening, the pandemic, and we just want to say commend you and thank you because
You and your team.
you and your team has been our source of information, comfort, and guidance during this time.
Yes.
Na ako, thank you din. Thank you, Jim and Sab. I told you even before that I have been watching your podcasts already. And nakikita ko talaga how committed you are to helping, hindi lang yung sa mental health, pero yung bringing about social change.
Oh,
Yung sa akin, yung episodes nyo, pati yung IG ni Sab, I follow also. Sa amin din, source of, lalo na yung mga bata, when your entries are about Pancho and Vito, sobrang good vibes. Sobrang good vibes. So, maraming salamat din. And Sab, thank you for volunteering to be one of our talents
Yes,
in
yes.
one of our videos for our initiatives with the education.
Oh, yes, of course. It's my pleasure, VP. So I think sana, kayo talaga deserving kayo of good sleep. Sana masarap ang tulog nyo kagabi. And I wanted to ask, like, how many hours a night do you usually get to sleep?
Ako Sab, I average siguro mga 5 to 6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Ayun yung aking average. There are times na when I get to sleep 7-8 hours, sobrang bonus na yon. And it's very, very seldom that I get that much sleep.
Yeah.
So, ako averaging 5 to 6 hours siguro.
Okay. I think I mean, I was thinking baka you didn't get enough sleep because of all the stuff that you're able to achieve in a day. So, speaking of which, I wanted to know if you can share, like, what is your morning routine? What time do you usually wake up? And are you as crazy about, like, a set routine as some people?
Ako, sa akin, it changes. It was so different pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Because pre-pandemic, my second daughter, si Tricia, was still a student. She was an intern. So when she has duty na very early in the morning, I make sure that I wake up ahead of her so that I can take care of her baon, I can take care of all her needs.
Oh.
Pero during the pandemic kasi parang so many things changed.
Mm-mm.
I don't wake up as early as I used to. Kasi before mga 5:30 I'm up.
Mm-mm.
Pero ngayon parang mas between 6:30 to 7 na ako gumigising kasi Trish is out of school already. She's out of school already. She still does hospital duty pero not as intense as before. Tapos I don't go to the office as early as I did before. Kasi before I will be here mga 8 o'clock in the morning. So mga 6:30 nag-aayos na ako. Pero ngayon, especially from March last year until siguro mga December last year, I would go mga 10 o'clock in the morning kasi skeleton staff kami. But starting January this year, parang bumabalik na ng konti to normal. So I'm here ulit. Kanina, I was here at 8 o'clock. So between 8 and 9, I'm here already. So pag gising ko, I take care of the stuff for the kids. Or, hindi na nga kids kasi 20s, 30s na yung mga anak ko. Pero I still look at them as young children. Ngayon, I would have time to hear mass online. Nakakapagkape ako. Dati, nagkakape ako dito na sa opisina kasi lagi nagmamadali. So, during the pandemic, parang I'm not here in the office as long as I used to. Kasi dati, nakakalabas ako, madilim na. Ngayon kasi we make it a point na parang between 5 and 6 in the evening, makauwi na yung mga tao. Kasi we shuttle them now. Because mahirap pa yung transport, diba? If I'm here late, hindi din sila nakakauwi kasi hinihintay nila ako. So ngayon, I try to get out of the office at least by 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Question, VP. Kasi actually sa yung podkids namin, these kids, they're very addicted to different productivity hacks, productivity apps. Is there a certain app that you use that you think like, oh my gosh, kailangan ko talaga to?
Or do you still use a pen and notebook?
Pen and paper ka pa rin ba?
Ako, medyo low-tech ako eh. Old school. Mas ano pa ako. Halimbawa, as far as schedules is concerned, parang I never get used to using the schedule app on my iPhone. Ano pa din ako, yung schedule ko naka-hard copy. When I edit, kasi they send me, halimbawa, speeches, halimbawa, messages. They send me drafts for me to edit. Hindi ko kaya mag-edit. Sa laptop, oo. Pero hindi ko kaya sa phone, hindi ko kaya sa tablet.
Yeah.
I can only edit using the laptop. Tapos when I have ideas, yung mga anak ko kasi nakikita ko na parang if they want to parang be reminded of things, nilalagay nila sa notes o sa alerts. I don't do that. Sa akin, I'm always with a pad and a pen, even when I go to sleep. Kasi alam mo yun, I don't know if you've experienced it, pero pag gabi, what keeps me up is naiisip ko yung mga gagawin ko the next day.
Yeah.
So ako, nasa bedside ko na yung pad sa pen. So whenever I remember something, sinusulat ko na kaagad. Kasi if I don't do that, hindi ako nakakatulog. Hindi ako nakakatulog kasi siguro I get worried na I might forget about that the following day.
That's a good tip. A way to empty your mind before para makatulog na.
Yes.
That's a good tip. I should do that. Kasi ang dami talagang So
diba?
kayo, hindi kayo you know what doom scrolling is?
Ano yun?
Yun yung parang pag matutulog ka na pero nasa stuck ka sa phone mo, nagsuscroll lang sa social media, tapos hindi ka makatulog.
Ako sometimes, pero ngayon kasi, I think this started only during the pandemic.
Okay.
Parang nasanay akong maglaro.
Okay.
Ang nilalaro ko, Sudoku.
I love Sudoku.
Parang before I sleep, naglalaro ako noon. Tapos yung mga anak ko kasi nagso-subscribe sila sa New York Times, Washington Post, The Economist. Nagso-subscribe sila doon. So nakikiangkas ako. And I only have time to do that in the evening. When I'm ready to go to sleep. Kasi pag nasa office na, wala na eh. Pag nasa office na, ang dami ng ginagawa. So pag uwi ko naman sa bahay, lalo na now that I go home much earlier than before, nagluluto ako.
Oh.
So yes, parang 90% of the time, I'm the one who cooks dinner.
Wow.
Yung panganay ko, because she also works from home now, she's the one who cooks for lunch. Except if meron ako mga outside commitment, siya din yung nagluluto ng dinner. Pero
what are your usual dishes? Ano yung parang proud ka na?
Ako alam mo, hindi ako mahusay magluto. Pero I benefit from a lot of YouTube recipes. Yung site ni Marjorie Barreto, pina-follow namin yun kasi madali yung recipes eh. Meron din isang site na ang pangalan niya Simple, SIMPOL. I also follow that. So, paminsan yung mga bata nagsasabing gusto namin tong kainin, so maghahanap ako ng recipe.
Parang that's a fun,
Parang because of technology, everything is so easy already.
Yeah.
Parang housekeeping has been much easier now than it was before. So,
Definitely.
yun, I enjoy cooking for my children.
Oh, that's a
Ah,
good bonding experience that you get to cook with them.
oo. And,
Aside from, yeah, go
and
ahead.
you have, I think for politicians like us, it is very important to have a private life.
Yes.
It's very
Definitely.
important to have a private life away from your political life.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Kasi I think that will help me parang kasi nakikita ko sa mga politiko 'pag nakapasok nahihirapan ng lumabas.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Alam mo 'yun, parang siguro nahihirapan sila and I didn't see that in my husband. Parang
Mm.
for him, it was so easy to step back.
Mm.
So iniisip ko lang siguro if I exert effort in trying to maintain parang as much normalcy in my life as possible, it would be easy for me also to make decisions, to step back if I need to. So ako, I try that. I try to parang do that as much as I can.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Parang from the experience also of when my husband was still alive.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Speaking of the late great Jesse Robredo, I think a lot of people have already read about your love story. But for those who haven't heard about it, ako na magre-recap, na joke lang.
Yes.
So you guys met when right after you graduated, no? And then before you went to study law,
Yes.
you looked for a job in something with something to do with
Yes.
economics.
Yes.
So do
Economic
you wanna
development of Bicol.
do you want to tell them how you met and were there sparks right away or ano ba?
Ako sa akin, at least as far as I'm concerned, there were no sparks right away because I saw him as my boss.
Mm-mm.
Kasi ano yun, Jim and Sab, parang my dad was a lawyer and a judge. So I was the eldest, very traditional na sunod ka sa yapak ng tatay mo.
Mm.
So when I was studying economics in UP, sabi ng tatay ko, you will take up law. And it was something that I also wanted to do. So yun yung path ko. But EDSA happened. The People Power Revolution happened in my senior year in college. And I became very active in street demonstrations before nangyari yon. So when EDSA happened, we had a new president. Parang I felt like I was 21 at that time. I felt I wanted to be part of the change that was happening. So nagpaalam ako na magtatrabaho ako for 1 year in government and my dad agreed. Pero tinitingnan ko kasi noon, NEDA. Kasi economics ako, yung si Professor Monsod was my professor. She was appointed Director General of NEDA. I had other professors appointed also in NEDA. So yun yung aking career path. But when I went home after graduation for summer break, I learned that there was this office like NEDA, but this was for Bicol Development, who were looking for economics graduates. And I had classmates from grade school and high school who got recently hired at that time. So I decided to give it a try. Pero hindi ko to na-mention dun sa Humans of Pinas. Before I went for the interview, I was already hearing a lot of good things about Jessie. Parang sinasabi nila mahusay, matino, very progressive mag-isip, etc. So, ganun na yung expectations ko. Pero during my first interview, napahiya ako.
Yeah.
Ano
That's
pa
what
ako?
struck me, VP. Yung
Yes.
si Jim hasn't had the chance to read that. So I think this is very, very impressive and grabe.
Kasi,
This is what really made my heart melt and parang grabe the respect that we all had for Jesse Robredo because of, and this is just like an example of that.
totoo.
If you can
And
tell that story.
I felt sad na baka hindi na ako matanggap because of that. Kasi, yung kwento among friends na makakatulong daw kung humingi ako ng recommendation from the governor. Kasi daw, the head, si Jessie na yon, was a nephew of the governor. So ako naman, parang alam mo, parang katatapos lang ng martial law, yun yung kalakaran dati. It was not that ganun din yung paniniwala ko. Pero I thought it would help pave the way for my being hired.
Mhm.
So yung dad ko was the friend of the governor. Sinabihan ko yung dad ko na pwede ba tayo makahingi ng recommendation kasi
Yeah.
makakatulong daw. So yung dad ko naman humingi ng recommendation sa governor. So pag submit ko ng application letter, the recommendation was there. Pero pagpasok ko pa lang sa office, first interview to, this was the first time I was meeting Jessie. Pagpasok ko sa office, nakaupo siya, pero
Kunot.
nakakunot yung noo. Tapos, hindi niya ako pinaupo. Parang ang tanong niya kaagad sa akin, what's this? So, hindi ko naiintindihan. Hindi ko siya maintindihan. Anong tinatanong niya? So, tinanong ko siya siguro 2 or 3 times na parang, pardon? What do you mean? Tapos hanggang nakita ko, hawak niya yung recommendation letter. So ako, parang, oops, parang gano'n na kaagad, parang binuhusan ako ng malamig na tubig. Alam ko na bad yun. Tapos parang sinabi niya na, this was what EDSA was about. Na hindi ito kailangan pag nag-a-apply ng trabaho. This was what we fought against. Parang something to that effect.
Wow.
So syempre, nag-apologize ako. So sinasabi niya, matatanggap ka lang dito based on your merits, pero ito, I will treat this as a scrap of paper. So parang I left the interview na iniisip ko na parang that goes my chance of being hired. So wala, I never expected to be called again. Pero I was called for another interview. He was so professional. So sa akin, while napahiya ako, parang yun yung umpisa na humanga ako na eto nga naman yung pinaglaban natin sa EDSA. Tapos napahiya ako na pinaglaban natin to pero ginagawa ko din yung ating kalakaran. So yun. Yun yun.
Amazing.
Mahirap na kasi to fight back against the norms, diba? So you think na parang, oh well, nothing's gonna change really. But then you meet people like him. And for me and Jim, I feel like you are one of those people na parang, oh wow, this is different. And that's why, I'm so inspired by you, VP, and everything that you do for women equality especially, and just giving women especially the chance to lead and to just create their own paths. Kasi sabi nyo nga, diba, when you were younger, that was the way na parang kung yung parents mo, ganito, gawin mo rin yung gusto nila. I mean, no one really questioned it. But now that we are in a different generation and there's technology and everyone is able to research more about their opportunities, is there something that you can advise the younger people? Parang when ang problema naman ngayon is there are so many choices and now they can't decide like, ano ba, what will really make me happy? But what will also make me money? What will my parents like? I'm not sure what I like. What can you advise these younger people about finding happiness or contentment? Is there anything you would share from your experiences?
Alam mo, sabi ni Jim, parati ko naalala again yung yumao kong asawa. Kasi when Aika, the eldest, when Aika was still new in her first job, parang there was a time na she felt that she wasn't happy anymore. Parang nagsisik siya ng advice sa asawa ko na mag-resign na. Parang ano kaya mag-resign na ako? Tapos maghanap na lang ako ng ibang trabaho kasi para sa akin, parang hindi na ako masaya. And my husband at that time sent an email to my daughter. And I think naalala ko nga, parang several years ago, my daughter posted on Facebook a copy of that email.
Oh.
Parang para sa akin, maganda siyang advice for new graduates, for young people. Yung advice ng asawa ko, dinaan niya sa kwento. Parang sinabi niya na, alam mo, yung bata pa ako, ganyan din ako sa'yo. Pero number one, kasi, parang kailangan tayo maging responsible. Kahit ayaw natin yung ginagawa natin, kailangan pa din na gawin natin ng maayos. Parang sinasabi lang doon na talagang yung buhay naman, you would come across work that you don't enjoy. Pero it is still our responsibility to do the best that we can to do the work that we are tasked to do. Yun yung number one. Yung number two naman na yung happiness ikaw yung gagawa eh. Hindi yun pwedeng nakadepend sa trabaho mo. Hindi yun pwedeng nakadepend sa asawa mo. Hindi yun pwedeng nakadepend sa ibang tao. Pero how you respond to what is given to you is what will bring you happiness.
Yeah.
Kasi halimbawa sa yung buhay ko maraming pagsubok. Maraming pagsubok in the sense na kailangan kong pagtrabahuhan ng grabe, kailangan kong pagsakripisyohan ng grabe yung maraming bagay na gusto kong makamit. Pero at the end of the day, masaya ka. Masaya ka kasi ginawa mo yung lahat. Tapos parang sinasabi ng asawa ko sa anak ko dati na dadating ka sa time na you will look back at all the journey that you went through. And you will realize that the dots will connect. Yung lahat na ginagawa mo, bahagi ng where you will be sometime in the future. So dahil magiging parang walang sayang, walang tapon. Kaya dapat every step that you do, you have to do well. Kasi bahagi yan, parang that will determine where you will get in the future. So para sa anak ko, it has been very helpful. Halimbawa noon, she was already unhappy, pero she was responsible enough to still do well the work that was given to her. Naghanap siya ng ibang trabaho, pero hindi niya iniwan yung trabaho niya hanggang hindi niya naayos.
Yeah.
So very helpful siya. Kasi parang ang problema kasi sa pagbata pa, ako I went through that also. I don't know if you've gone through that phase as well. Parang paminsan may feeling ka na the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pero ano yun eh, ano talaga siya, myth. Kasi yung happiness, ikaw talaga yung gagawa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And so VP, if that's the case, diba? In this job, I mean, we'd like to know parang what are the moments that you can say, if you can recall, the moments that you are reminded na, oh man, this is all worth it. Parang ano yung mga moments or like especially during these times that you've felt like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you've been attacked and there have been crazy things na parang for the normal non-VPs of the Philippines, we all have been dealing with our mental health. But I wanted to know then, before you answer this question now, what makes it all worth it, I wanted to ask you personally, how do you deal with it, being in the spotlight like 24/7 basically? How do you deal with taking care of your mental health? What do you do? Do you step away from social media? Pinapagbawalan ka ba ng kids mo like to look at all the bad comments? What do you do? Do you meditate? I don't know. I would love to hear from you and learn from you.
Ako actually, Saab, hindi ko alam if it is a gift. Pero even when I was not yet in politics, hindi ako madaling ma-affect. Hindi ako madaling ma-affect by a lot of things. And reklamo nga yun sa akin. Reklamo sa akin ng aking mga anak na masyado daw akong NR. Parang no reaction. So I think, yun. Palagay ko gift siya na for me to deal with parang the ugliness of the world that I'm in. Pero sa akin, halimbawa, ang dami sa akin tumitira, ang daming kasinungalingan. Pero do I get affected by them? Ako no. Sinasabi ng friends ko na wag ka na magbasa. Pero ako I read eh. I read and hindi ako na-affect na in the sense na do I lose sleep over them? Yeah. Do I get depressed because of the many things that are being said of me? Ako no. And tingin ko, yung pinakamahalaga kasi sa lahat, clear conscience. Na hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi nila. Siguro sad. Siguro sad ka, ikaw, siguro sad ako na marami naniniwala. Kasi hindi naman ako kilala.
Yeah.
Pero para kasi sa akin, klaro sa akin what are the things that last? Yung power, yung popularity, fleeting ito Fleeting lahat ito. Pahiram lang ito lahat.
Yeah.
Yung mundo bilog. Pwedeng yung lahat na power sa popularity nasa sayo ngayon. Pero hindi yan assurance na bukas nandyan pa din. Ano yung mga naglalast? Yung mga naglalast, character, integrity, yung concept of right and wrong, hindi naman yung nababago over time Diba? Yung pamamatay ng tao mula noon hanggang ngayon, mali yun.
Yes.
Yung pananakit sa ibang tao mula noon hanggang ngayon, mali yun.
Yes.
Diba? Yung pagnanakaw, yung parang there are things that whether you're popular or not, whether you're in power or not, yung masama-masama, yung tama-tama.
Yes.
Para sa akin, yun yung akin driving force na kahit ginaganyan nyo ako, yung at the end of the day, yung magtatagumpay kung ano yung tama sa katotoo. So ako yun sa akin, parang hindi ako parang nagiging paminsan siguro nagiging impatient ako. Nagiging impatient ako na parang ano ba naman? Parang yung tao, very obvious na kasinungalingan, pinapaniwalaan pa din. Pero at the same time, alam ko, na dadating yung panahon na nakikita natin na yung tao pipiliin niya pa din yung tama sa katotoo. So sa akin, nakakatulong siguro that I don't have political ambitions. Kasi siguro if nag-aambisyon ako maging pangulo, for example, siguro, alam mo yon, parang pinapatulan ko na lahat para lang maayos yung aking pangalan.
Yes.
Wala sa akin ganun na pressure Wala sa akin ganun na pressure na kailangan kong depensahan yung sarili ko. Kasi baka maapektuhan yung chances ko sa 2022. So wala yun. At dahil wala yun, very liberating siya. Very liberating in the sense na,
No!
Kasi sinabi ko sa akin naman Jim and Saab, it's not saying na I'm not open to running.
Yes.
It's not that.
Okay.
Pero sa akin, hindi ako nag-aambisyon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get.
Ang sa akin, kasi ano ba, even when I ran for Congress, parang I ran, parang it was an accident.
Yeah.
Parang in a way, it was an accident. I filed my certificate of candidacy parang last hour just to fill in a gap. So yun yung nangyari. Parang when I ran for the vice presidency, never in my wildest dreams have I thought that I will run for VP.
Yes.
Kasi ordinaryo lang naman yung buhay ko. I was a lawyer. I was working with the communities for the longest time. Siguro kung sinabi mo sa akin a month before I filed my certificate of candidacy, parang no way. Pero nangyari. I don't know if it is being very fatalistic, pero ako ang pakiramdam ko kasi kung nakatakda yan sa'yo, kahit saan ka tumago, mangyayari yan. Pero it's liberating in that sort of way. Alam mo yon na hindi mo inaambisyon. Kasi ang mahirap pag inaambisyon, parang you're willing to make compromises already. Lalo sa politika.
Yes.
Sa politika, gusto mo ganito. So, halimbawa, ang pinakamagandang example siguro, every time I criticize the president because he's very popular, talagang pinuputakti ako ng ang daming trolls. Every time I criticize the president, yung awareness, yung ratings ko sa surveys bumababa. So sa akin, kung ayokong bumaba yun, kahit nakikita ko na yung patayan, kahit nakikita ko na yung, di ba, yung dismal performance sa COVID-19 response, hindi na lang ako iimik.
Yes.
Parang I will keep my mouth shut. Kasi every time I open my mouth and criticize this administration, aatakihin ako. Bababa yung ratings ko sa survey. Pero because I don't have those political ambitions. Parang ano yan, libreng-libre ako to say what I want.
Yes.
Parang to fight for what I think is right without being concerned of my numbers.
Yes, wow. I respect that so much. Grabe. That's
Sobra ako na-inspire.
sobrang #peg.
Actually, VP, ako gusto ko lang rin i-share. One thing that really struck me, when my dad told me, sabi niya sa akin, I wish na maabutan ko yung in my lifetime na parang na makita natin na, like the mag-improve yung country and we get to a status na that's thriving. And I just want to say, hearing you talk and it's so refreshing. So refreshing. And I'm sure, our pod kids, and the listeners of this podcast feel that way kasi parang honestly it's true. Yung sinasabi niyo.
Yeah. And it's so crazy that it's rare. Diba?
Hindi, pero naman, ako Jim, parang dati kasi masyado din extreme o siguro masyadong parang ang taas ng idealism ko.
Yes.
Pero actually when I entered politics, there were a lot of realities that parang I came across with. Ang isa doon, yung parang yung future talaga ng bansa natin, hindi siya nakasalalay sa isang tao lang. Having said that, parang ngayon kasi parang marami sa akin nagsasabi, ikaw lang yung pag-asa namin, ikaw yung nakikitaan namin ng pag-asa. Parang sa akin, hindi siya totoo in the sense na wala naman sa akin yung solusyon eh. Wala sa akin yung parang I don't pretend to know all the answers. Parang I don't pretend to be the best politician there is. Pero yung sa akin, tingin ko yung mahalaga siguro sa isang public official, hindi naman kailangan elected yung position, pero when you're in a leadership position, mahalaga siguro yung trait, yung ability to inspire. Kasi yung tingin ko kasi yung solusyon talaga wala sa akin o kay presidente, pero nasa atin lahat eh. And yung ability to inspire, yun yung magdodraw ng yung energies.
Yes.
Yun yung magdodraw ng energies na pagtulong-tulungan natin ito. Kasi yung yun yung nararamdaman ko ngayon. Paminsan may certain level of desperation saka frustration. Na pag nakikita ko yung numbers, parang alam ko naman kung ano yung totoo, alam ko yung kung ano yung tama o mali. Parang nakakaramdam ako ng desperation na kung ganito na yung mga tao, parang ayaw na lang ako. Naririnig ko yon from many friends. Meron mga nagsasabi, mag-migrate na lang ako kasi wala na tayong pag-asa.
Yeah.
Ako, I would have to admit, sometimes I say that to my children. Kasi yung bunso ko nasa US, di ba? Parang sinasabi ko na, tara, punta na lang tayo kay Jillian kasi parang wala nang patutunguhan. Pero yun yung parang mas selfish part of me. And I think lahat naman tayo entitled sa atin to a certain level of selfishness. Pero pag inisip mo din, kung aayaw ako, paano na? Di ba, paano na yung mga anak natin? Paano tayo makakatulong na bigyan yung mga anak natin ng mundong mas mabuti kaysa sa mundo natin?
Yes.
Yun naman yung para sa akin. Pero yung reality kasi, yung change would not happen overnight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Parati ko tong sinasabi sa staff namin na power of the long game. Na huwag tayong mafo-frustrate kung hindi yung results na ginagawa natin hindi immediate. Ang assurance lang, lahat na ginagawa natin nagko-contribute sa whole.
Yes.
So kahit pakiramdam mo na lahat nakasama mo, parang wala na itong pag-asa, gawin mo pa din. Parang gawin mo pa din yung sa tingin mong tama. Ako nararamdaman ko yon. Nararamdaman ko yon kasi may maraming fear. Alam ba, even among politicians, nandun yung fear na kung sasalungat ako, ganito yung mangyayari sa akin. So sometimes I feel alone also. Parang sometimes I feel it's a very lonely fight. Pero again, when I think of my children, parang it is always worth the sacrifice, diba? I am sure you feel that now that you have two sons.
Yes.
Na parang wala namang pinangarap tayong mga magulang kundi mas mabuting mundo para sa mga anak natin. And kung mag-give up tayo kasi nahihirapan tayo, di baliktad yung mangyayari for them. So sa akin, yun na lang. Sa akin, minsan, iniisip ko, parang, ano ba naman yan? Ako na lang yung natitirang publicly nagka-criticize ng mga nangyayari. Parang nafe-feel ko yon. Pero kung hindi naman ako, alam mo yun, parang pag hindi ko naman ito gawin, sino gagawa?
Yeah.
So ako, I get strength from people like you na ako nakikita ko din yung mga posts mo sometimes na yung courage to voice out your opinions on things that really matter, nakakatulong yun to give us strength. Na parang sasabihin mo, ay hindi naman pala isa. Parang mga ano nga ito, mga people outside of politics, pero who also feel the same way I do. Para sa akin, kahit minority tayo, parang kahit konti lang tayo, basta may lumalaban pa, it will always be worth the fight.
Madaling araw. Pero, bakit ang hirap?
Ay,
Di lahat ng oras may time ako.
I know.
Pwedeng magpahinga. Yung mga reaction. Oh, Diyos ko! Ano ba naman ito?
Pare ko naman.
Diba?
Punta ka sa
Tangina.
linyalinya.ph. Labo. Go to linyalinya.ph. We have a bunch of new shirts. Use the promo code Jim and Saab. Thank you for supporting. Now back to the show.
I agree. Thanks, VP.
Actually,
and you must be so proud of your daughters because I feel like they are definitely following in your footsteps and your husband's. And I follow them rin on Twitter and social media. And nakita ko talagang
Actually,
strong girls.
I have friends who tell me, sawayin mo yung mga anak mo.
No!
Sinasabi. Pero ako, I'm proud of them.
Oo.
Ako, I'm proud of the fact na even if they know that they will be bashed when they speak their minds, ako, we need people like them. We need people like you who are unafraid to fight the establishment. Ako, di ba yung change nangyayari lang naman if there are courageous people na who are willing to fight the status quo. Ako, I'm very proud of my kids. Never ko silang sinaway. Parati ko lang pinapaalalahanan na no matter how deep their frustrations are, that they should still be respectful. Yun lang naman yung sinasabi ko na that they don't allow their emotions to get the better of them.
Yes.
Pero they are free to alam mo yun, to express their opinions on things that matter.
Great advice. Wow.
Actually, ako VP, dun sa sinasabi nyo nga, kasi syempre ang mga Pinoy, no, parang we're very emotional beings. Kaya ang pag marinig mo sa karaoke, laging love song, di ba? Or hugot. And that's why I completely agree with your sentiment na yung leadership, hindi naman ng mga Pinoy or even kami ni Saab, hindi naman kami parang, ay, si VP Leni, kaya niya talaga si Bill 236, blah, 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 blah. Alam mo yun, parang yun yung ganyan. Hindi naman kami ganun eh. I mean, it's who can inspire and who has the charisma and who do we think can create more decision makers? Who do we think we can kumbaga inspire more leaders, more people that can make change for the country. So yun, I just want to say that na syempre, especially for the social media generation na to, that's what we look for eh. Honestly, like right now, parang ganito parang from our perspective, oh my God, there's a virus destroying the world.
Yeah.
And then all we needed was to hear what you said.
Yeah.
Na guys, magtulungan tayo. Like, parang may mga problema. Diba? Parang, and I think that's why I completely agree with your sentiment na there is hope because the amount of information and education that we can attain with our technology now is so, it's actually very beneficial for us. Yun lang, wag lang fake news. Pero anyway.
Speaking of fake news, and what's the dumbest thing or silliest thing that's been thrown at you?
Ay, marami. Napakarami, Saab. Yung number one that I cheated in the elections.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yun, number one. Number
That is
two,
the dumbest.
meron akong boyfriend. May inuuwian akong ibang bahay. Ano ko yun? Para sa akin, ako, pero I think kasi, Sab and Jim, we also committed a mistake. Kasi I was too naive during the first few years of my being VP. Ang asta ko noon, I will not dignify. Kasi, alam mo yun, parang kasinungalingan, wala namang katotohanan, bakit ko papatulan? Pero apparently, it was the wrong reaction.
Yeah.
Na dapat sana yung ginawa namin from day one, nagbigay kami ng, parang binigay namin yung truth so that people would have would have the opportunity to look at things, parang many sides of an issue. Pero we never offered that.
Yes.
Kasi pinabayaan namin thinking na dahil hindi naman totoo,
It'll just go
mawawala
away.
din yan. Pero we forgot that theirs is a well-oiled infrastructure.
Yes.
Na lies repeated again and again become the truth. Ganun yung nangyari. Until now, kahit nanalo na kami sa Supreme Court, marami pa din yung naniniwala na nagdaya ako. Halimbawa, yung paulit-ulit na sinasabing may boyfriend ako, ibang bahay, inuuwian ko, dahil paulit-ulit, marami yung naniniwala. So, mali din kami.
But that's also,
I
don't you think that's also very, like, if you had a boyfriend, parang, it's
Who
so
cares?
sexist talaga kasi parang,
Pero ang ano nga, Sab, the reality is that yung society natin, double standard pa din talaga yung pagtingin. Halimbawa, ang pinaka-example ko dyan when I talk to ordinary, parang rural women. Halimbawa, sa very ordinary setting, nag-uopisina, 8 to 5. After 5, pag lumabas sa opisina, yung mga maraming lalaki yung tatambay, kasama yung barkada, magiinuman, okay lang yon. Pero pag ginawa yun ng babae, na after office, tumambay sa labas, nakipag-inuman sa barkada, bad wife and mother siya. Diba?
Yeah.
Kasi hindi siya umuwi, hindi niya chinutor yung mga anak niya. Pero ganun pa din yung standard natin eh. Parang we've achieved a lot of great strides already as far as women empowerment is concerned. But we have to keep our eyes open on the fact na iba pa din talaga pagtingin.
yeah.
So for women politicians, very vulnerable kami. Very vulnerable kami in the sense na, halimbawa ako, wala naman akong asawa. Pero pag napabalita ako na may boyfriend, masamang babae ako. Pero yung point na hindi totoo eh. Yung point na hindi totoo, pero yung tao naniniwala. Kasi yun yung naririnig nilang paulit-ulit. Halimbawa, yung cheating in the elections, ganun din. Halimbawa, marami nagsasabi, bobo ako. Paulit-ulit. Parang, ako, natatawa ako doon. Para sa akin, very demeaning na mag-exert pa ako ng effort to defend myself na, hey, hindi ako bobo. O hey, wala akong boyfriend. O hindi ako nagdaya sa election. Para sa akin, hindi ko naman kailangan depensahan yung sarili ko. Kasi in the first place, hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi nyo. Pero in the larger scheme of things, naniniwala kasi. Yun
Pero
yung problema
grabe,
din.
ang dami niya ng napanalunan na recount ha. And congratulations!
Thank you.
FYI, you really are the winner. And Jim and I voted for you. So
Thank you.
very
Thank
proud
you.
of that. Congratulations.
Well,
for
sakto
the
pa na,
nth time.
sakto pa kasi it's International Women's Month, no? And so ikaw VP, like ako ito yung masasabi ko. Before we we'll end with some lightning questions lang. Pero I'm not sure if you're familiar with Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight.
It's a Batman movie.
Batman movie.
Yes.
And we view you kasi talaga as the White Knight. You are Harvey Dent prior to becoming Two-Face.
Are you familiar with this, VP?
Hindi familiar ako sa Dark Knight, pero hindi ko alam yung buong kwento. Pero my eldest daughter is a big fan.
Okay.
Okay.
So si Harvey Dent,
Whatever I know about it, I heard from her.
Okay. I'll do it quickly.
Sige.
Gotham is like Metro Manila. So it's the city is filled with corruption. And anyway, Harvey Dent is the first among politicians who is voicing against oppression, corruption. So basically everyone is, and then he is the white knight nga in this whole scenario. Anyway, and everyone is trying to pull him down because ang point nila is if you pull down the white knight, it therefore shows na parang there is no good in this world. 'Di ba? Ganun yun eh. If yung beacon of hope ay nababa, wala na talagang pag-asa. So anyway, the reason why I brought that up is I just wanted to ask you kasi like, your career path kasi was from the ground up, 'di ba? Like all your initiatives in Naga to Congress, now VP. My question is like at what point why do you think that sometimes kasi like I'm driving around the city, naiisip ko, when corrupt officials see a homeless person or do they become, parang at what point did they become numb and forget the service part and the politics took over? You mentioned nga kanina you faced realities, you learned new things about getting into politics and that's a harsh reality, no? Pero
it's kind
that's
of like a
pretty much what I
game.
want to ask. Like, when does it turn? Parang ganon. Or why do you think it happens?
And how do you stop it from happening?
Ako sa akin, Jim and Saab, marami na ako nakita na who joined politics with only the very best of intentions. Parang nag-umpisa, gusto talagang manilbihan. Pero ano kasi, it's very tricky when you're inside already. Kasi nung nasa Congress ako, naramdaman ko yun eh. Parang all of a sudden, you enjoy privileges. You are offered. You are offered privileges. All of a sudden, parang human nature naman, di ba? Human nature na when people admire you, you make things happen. Parang ano yun eh. Parang you derive satisfaction from it. Pero yung sa akin kasi, I was very fortunate that I had a husband who had the practice of, kasi he entered politics when he was 29. Bagong kasal kami noon, wala pa kaming anak. So meron siyang practice every day na tinatanong niya yung sarili niya. Parang merong self-assessment every day. Nasa tama pa ba akong landas? Ano ba yung mga ginawa ko ngayon? Meron ba akong ginawa na pinagsisihan ko? Everyday yan. Everyday. And kami, it was a conversation between the two of us. So parang ako, na-practice. Na-practice ako nun. Tapos ako din yung parang naging inspirational guide niya na yung parang to shun privileges. Halimbawa, when I became VP already, parang I was entitled, meron akong convoy. Hindi yun mawawala kasi meron kang security. Naiintindihan ko yon. Pero halimbawa, may inassign sa akin na hagad. Alam niyo yon, yung motorsiklo na nagpe-pave ng traffic. Yun talaga inayawan ko. And marami kaming debate ng security team about it. Parang sinasabi nila na importante yung hagad kasi para sa traffic, etc. etc. So, parati kong tanong, bakit tayo makikipag-unahan sa traffic? Mas importante ba tayo kaysa sa iba? Ang mensahe ba nun, mas importante yung lakad natin kaysa sa lakad nila? Ako, kaya ko yung tinatanong kasi yun yung exercise namin mag-asawa from before. And ako yung nag-i-instigate na mga ganon na discussions. Kasi tingin ko, mahalaga na pinire-remind mo yung sarili mo na kung sino ka. Kasi pag walang nagre-remind na ganon, you parang you get lost. You get lost in another world where things are easier. Halimbawa, nung nasa Congress ako, sinasabihan ako na kung pupunta ka sa airport, merong parang, nakalimutan ko yung term pero parang merong protocol Parang meron protocol officer who will arrange everything for you. You don't have to get in line. Yung mga ganon. Yun yung para sa akin, parang you remind yourself. Kasi ako nai-imagine ko, pag in-enjoy ko yon, sobrang hirap na for me na umalis.
Yeah.
So tingin ko, yun yung nag-give way sa political dynasties. Yun yung alam mo yun, parang because you've enjoyed the privileges already, parang ayaw mo nang maalis sa family.
Yeah.
Ayaw mo nang maalis sa family na pagtapos ka na, parang there's a very thin line between yun, saka yun naman talagang parang desire to really serve.
Yes.
Parang masyado ng gray yung area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Na hindi mo na-realize na mali na pala.
I agree.
Kasi hindi siya sudden eh. 'Di ba? Parang pumasok ka na ano naman talaga, sobrang okay talaga yung intentions mo. Pero dahil hindi mo nahiwalay na meron ka palang private life. Parang nawawala na 'yon. And suddenly your private life parang yung public life already becomes your private life. Ano ba kami, Jim and Saab, yung mayor yung asawa ko eh. Nakatira lang kami sa isang apartment. I think it helped. It helped na nakatira kami sa maliit na apartment na wala naman kaming space to receive guests. So we never entertained at home. And we were different from many other mayors of small cities sa mga probinsya. Kasi yung kalakaran, pag mayor ka, parang hindi ka nauubusan ng bisita sa bahay.
Yeah.
Hindi ka na nakakapunta ng opisina na maaga kasi nag-entertain ka ng bisita. Tapos meron ka ng permanent na cooking team na all day, all night nagluluto lang kasi parati ka, alam mo yon. Parang yung asawa ko, when he was mayor of Naga, ang policy niya, hindi siya dudukot sa sarili niyang bulsa, meaning spend his own money para ipambigay sa tao. Kasi yung fear niya, pag ginawa niya yun, matetempt na siyang kumuha. Matetempt na siya sa mga ino-offer na weteng money, SOP sa mga public works project. Walang pressure para sa kanyang kumuha.
Yeah.
Kasi napapagkasya niya naman yung sweldo niya para sa pamilya niya. But if he starts spending his own money for patay, binyag, kasal, mahirap na yon kasi nangangailangan ka na eh. Kaya yung asawa ko, pag kinukuha ng ninong sa kasal, alam na ng tao na wala siyang regalo. pero alam mo yon, parang dapat conscious yung effort.
Yes.
Dapat yung conscious yung effort na pinapangalagaan mo yung integrity mo. Kasi mahirap pag hindi conscious yung effort kasi nawawala ka eh. Parang nawawala ka kasi gina-justify mo na kumukuha ako hindi naman para sa sarili ko pero para din sa tao. Ano mo yun? Parang very thin line na.
Yes.
And paminsan hindi mo na-realize na nag-accumulate ka na.
And I think no, parang based on everything you've said, BB, parang moral compass kasi, 'di ba? And syempre when you get into politics, you get into the machinery, mag-iiba yung compass mo. I think the biggest difference, and I think what you've shared talaga, is the importance of education of your husband, your surroundings, your environment, and the values. Kasi that will keep your compass intact. No?
At saka din siguro, Jim, mas mapalad din kami. We were lucky, both my husband and myself, that parang we were raised in a family that put a lot of premium on character. Yung father-in-law ko, blind siya. Blind siya since my husband was 5 years old. Silang magkakapatid, yung family ng asawa ko, every other child in the family is blind. So there's a disability in the family. Pero yung value of hard work, yung parang kahit may kapansanan, hindi siya naging hadlang. Hindi siya naging hadlang para magtrabaho or mag-contribute to society. I think it helped a lot. I think it helped a lot in the sense na yung concept of right and wrong was very strong. Kasi I remember we lived with my in-laws for 8 years. The first 8 years of our married life, we were with my in-laws. ang nasa household na yon, yung father-in-law ko na blind, my mother-in-law, and my brother-in-law who was also blind.
Oh.
And my father-in-law would knock on our door every 6 o'clock in the morning. Ginigising yung asawa ko. Tapos, halimbawa, sometimes I would tell my father-in-law pa, hindi ko pa ginigising si Jess kasi nagabihan siya kagabi, merong sayawan sa isang barangay. Sasabihin ko yon, sasabihin ng father-in-law ko, hindi yan excuse. Dapat siya yung pinakaunang dadating sa opisina. Kasi kailangan siya yung maging example. So, kami, fortunate kami na we had people we look up to. Na ganon din yung, alam mo yon, ganon din yung sense of right and wrong.
Yes, oo.
Kasi parang mahirap din, hindi mo din masabi na ako innately mabuti ako. Hindi Parang it's a constant. Yes. Parang yung constant exposure to people and circumstances na nakakatulong sa atin. So I think, even when we raise kids, ako kasi malalaki na yung mga anak ko, my eldest is 33, never ako nagka-problema sa kanila. Alam mo yun, parang ako, paminsan, ang iba merong horror stories. Pero ako kasi, I think, I'm the kind of mom, hindi ko alam sa'yo, Saab, pero ako, I'm the kind of mom na hindi ako mangaral. Parang I don't preach.
Yes.
Pero my kids are okay.
Yeah.
Never akong nagpalo ng anak. Pero they're okay. Pero ako kasi, tingin ko yung bata mas na-absorb niya yung nakikita rather than naririnig.
Exactly.
So sa amin, hindi naman ako, I was a mother at 23. Wala pa akong kaalam-alam sa mundo. Pero okay naman yung mga anak ko. So tingin ko, ano naman yon, parang for parents, diba? If you raise good kids, that's enough contribution to the world.
I agree. Oo.
So sa akin, ano, tuntua nga ako kay Vito kasi rocker na rocker, diba? yung videos nyo. So, ganyan siya kasi nakikita si Tin perhaps. So, yung bata talaga para yung sponge eh. Yung bata para siyang sponge na hindi natin alam na yung parang ina-absorb niya lahat. Ina-absorb niya lahat na nakikita, ina-absorb niya lahat na nararamdaman.
Yes.
And yun talaga yung bumubuo ng character. And kami nung asawa ko, we were fortunate. We were fortunate that we were surrounded with people who, yun nga, put a lot of premium on values, on integrity, on character.
VP, since we're talking about sponges, no? Yung podkids namin, I think what we're really pushing is voter registration.
Oh, yeah.
What can you say to how will you argue, since you are a attorney, to someone who says, bakit pa ako magre-register? Ano naman sure, wala namang chance or minority vote na ako What would you say?
Siguro ang pinakamagandang example dyan, yung nangyari sa US. Yung nangyari sa US, nung election nila in 2016 between Trump and Hillary. Yun, all the surveys, si Hillary was leading. Pero during the elections, natalo siya sa Electoral College. And when the votes were already being analyzed, yung mga kabataan hindi nagboto, hindi bumoto. Yung mga minority hindi bumoto. So they had Trump for 4 years.
Yeah.
And because they knew that was one of the reasons why Trump became president, they really exerted a lot of effort on encouraging people to register and to vote, especially the young people and the minorities. And Biden happened. Parang before the 2020 elections, ang popularity ni Trump was soaring. Diba? Ang popularity niya was really high.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fear that he will be given another 4 years. But then, yung efforts ng lahat concerted.
Yeah.
Kahit sa opposition, grabe yung away during the primaries. Halimbawa si Sanders, diametrically opposed yung maraming mga paniniwala ni Biden sa ni Sanders. Si Kamala, ganon din. Elizabeth Warren. Pero Because they were in agreement na ang pinakakalaban natin dito yung Trump. Saka yung ultra-conservative na team behind him.
Yes.
We will set aside our parang our individual political ambitions
Yes.
para magkasama tayo lahat. And yung mga voters nag-participate.
Yeah.
Diba? Yung mail-in votes, ang dami. Yung registration, ang dami. Nangyari din yan sa atin. Nangyari din yan sa atin in 2019. In 2019, eto yung 8 Diretso.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lahat na survey sa mga schools, panalong-panalo yung 8 Diretso. As in, most schools, overwhelming. Pero pagdating ng botohan, walang nakapasok sa top 12.
Yeah.
Walang nakapasok kasi bumoto lang sila sa survey sa schools.
Yeah.
Pero hindi sila bumoto sa tunay na election.
Yes.
And ang resulta nun, the kind of public servants that we elected into office. So, dapat sana naiintindihan ng lahat na we all have a responsibility na hindi tayo one vote lang. Kasi kung one vote lang tayo, kung lahat ganon yung mindset, talagang binibigyan natin daan. Hindi deserving of our trust. Kaya ngayon, sana ma-recognize natin na kailangan natin pagkaisahan, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Kailangan tayo magkaisa kasi kung hindi tayo magkaisa, it will be another 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Na ganito yung values na pinapasunod. So siguro yung question, is this who we are as Filipinos?
Yeah.
Kasi 'di ba, parang it's the soul of the nation that's at stake.
Yes.
So para sa akin, pwedeng hindi ideal, pero basta pinagkaisahan natin. Kasi yung fight naman na ito, intergenerational ito eh. The fight doesn't end in 2022. So yung tanong, willing ba tayo na magkaisa tayo para mag one step ahead?
Yeah.
Ako, I am sure the answer is yes. So dapat yung mga kabataan, all revolutions were started by young people.
Yes.
And we're not just talking about armed revolutions, pero we're talking about revolutions that bring about societal change. And talagang yung mga kabataan, kasi yung mga kabataan, open pa. Wala pang masyadong, wala pang masyadong mga kahon.
Yes.
Na napapaloob sa kanila. And ako, Jim and Saab, I work with very young people in the office. Tingin ko ako na yung matanda dito sa amin. And I benefit a lot. I benefit a lot from their idealism. I benefit a lot from their creativity, yung innovativeness. And I think that's what we need now. Kasi paminsan, yung mga edad namin, parang masyado na kaming, alam mo yon, parang masyado nang nakatingin sa napakamakalumang mga paraan. And the world is changing at a very fast pace na kailangan tayo sumabay.
Yes.
Kasi kung hindi tayo sumabay, may iiwan tayo. But with our values intact.
Yeah.
And actually, your victory
Yes.
is an example of the importance of voter registration and for the kids.
Thank you, Lord.
And ito VP, sorry last na.
Okay, go.
So while we're gathering kami, we're really gonna push na, come on guys, let's educate ourselves, let's vote, let's register. How about yung on the politics side? Kasi you mentioned na parang, okay, what if magkaisa nga, let's say the kids say, let's vote for the soul of the nation. My question is, hindi ba the problem is if the opposition hindi rin siya tahe. So therefore, kami, the voters, mahahati rin kami. I mean, what is the plans or I don't know, update? Sorry.
Pwede bang isa yan? I-reveal yan? Ano ba? May alam ba kayong nangyayari?
Siguro very general.
Okay.
Para sa akin, halimbawa, only with my supporters, marami nagsasabi na gusto namin ikaw yung magpresidente. Pero if you will ask me, okay naman yan na gusto natin ganyan. Siguro, for some, yun yung ideal. Pero kailangan kasi pakinggan natin yung boses ng iba. Kasi kung ipipilit natin yung pinapaniwalaan natin, baka magkahati-hati tayo.
Yes.
Ay, yung para sa akin, we should be willing to parang to listen to the voices of other people. Kasi kung hindi natin yung gagawin, sasabihin natin, lahat sila, hindi kami bukas, sa'yo lang kami bukas. Baka talo na talaga tayo.
Oo.
Yun naman sa akin. Tapos kami naman ng mga tinitingnan na mga possible, dapat willing kami to set aside our, di ba? Parang to set aside our political ambitions for the good of the country. Kasi sa akin, halimbawa sabihin pa natin na gusto ko magpresidente. Tingin ko ako yung hypothetical. Tingin ko ako yung magsasalba sa bansa. Tingin ko ako yung pinakamahusay sa lahat. Pag ganun yung mindset, walang mangyayari eh.
Yeah.
Diba? Parang dapat pakinggan natin sila, tingnan natin who can unite us. Ako ba yun? Kasi kung hindi ako yun, hanapin natin. Sino ba among us can unite? Pag sinabi kasi natin can unite, hindi naman natin i-expect na pare-pareho yung pagtingin about certain things. Pero with the very important things, para sa akin yun yung non-negotiables.
Yes.
Kailangan willing tayo na parang mag-give in ng part ng arm natin. Ganun yung nangyari sa US. Ganun yung nangyari kay Biden.
Yes.
Na hindi naman siya tinitingnan na he was the best candidate. Pero siya yung pinagkaisahan eh.
Yeah.
Siya yung pinagkaisahan. And for some, halimbawa yung mas left-leaning among them, yung mga supporters ni Sanders, marahil iniisip nila, ayaw namin dyan kasi masyado yung centrist. Pero ginawa nila eh. Ginawa nila because they recognized that it was Trump.
Yes.
Because Trump was causing parang the nation to suffer.
Yes.
So nagkaisa sila. And I'm hoping na yun yung mangyayari sa atin.
Yes.
I'm hoping na yung lahat na players willing. Pero again, having said that, merong mga non-negotiables. Siyempre, halimbawa, if we will be open to alliances, kailangan klaro. Ano ba yung stand niyan sa extrajudicial killings? Ano ba yung stand niyan sa state-sponsored harassment? Di ba yung mga bagay na ganun? Kasi kung for the sake din lang na magkaisa, wala namang prinsipyo, mahirap din yun. So yung mga non-negotiables, dapat nag-agree. Pero dapat yung tao, kung hindi ikaw, wag na lang. Kasi sabi ko nga, hindi naman natin ito ma-resolve sa 2022 eh.
Yes.
Yung sa atin, maraming masyado tayong problema na kailangan lang i-resolve natin, magkaisa tayo para harapin natin yun. So para sa akin, I'm open to all possibilities. Kasi ang pinakamahalaga dito, yung bansa natin eh. Hindi ako, ano mo yun, paminsan mahirap kasi I'm sure naramdaman nyo na to, if you feel so strongly about something, whether election-related siya or not, parang handa kang makipag-debate o makipag-argue para ipaglaban mo yung paniniwala mo. Pero maraming bagay sa buhay na hindi ideal. And yung mahalaga, parang you are one step closer to your goal. Kasi yun naman eh. Parang life is really like that. It's a series of small steps.
Yes.
Parang you just make sure that each step brings you closer to your objective.
Yes, a step towards the right direction. I completely agree. Na parang tama.
Super love.
Super love. Thank you so much, VP. Grabe.
Before we end, pwede pang mag-request lang ako na magpa-picture yung babies namin.
Of course!
Yay!
Or sobrang fan kami ni Pancho sa ni Vito.
Yay! Okay, totoo.
Sab, nakakatuwa yung pag nagiging rocker na si Vito, inuulit-ulit ko yung video kasi sobra siya nakakatuwa. Kasi even expression, di ba?
Yes.
Yung expression niya pang rocker talaga.
He doesn't stop. He does it like the whole day. Talagang feel talaga niya yung guitar. Niya.
Oo nga eh.
Yeah. While we're waiting for them, baka pwede tayo magsingit ng lightning round questions.
Mabilis lang.
Comfort food. Favorite comfort food?
Ako, anything with gata and spicy.
Oh, I feel that.
Actually,
Because
ito, Vivi,
Naga.
first time nung pinatry ko kay Saab, yung legit na
Laing
laing.
from Naga.
Grabe!
Ang
As in,
sarap.
ano pala siya? It's parang shrimp pala siya. Hindi siya
Yes,
yung normal, yung leaves lang.
Yes.
Parang garnish pala siya, no?
Kakaiba.
Um,
If we go to Naga, where should we go na hindi tourist spot? That's tourist destination.
Ako yung Naga kasi walang tourist spot. Yung Naga walang tourist spot, yung pagkain lang talaga. Yung yung mga tourist spots sa amin nasa labas ng Naga. So we don't have beaches, we're landlocked. Pero yung pinupuntahan talaga sa amin, yung pagkain. But you should go.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
VP.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Salamat.